Hello, Stratford. Today I'm talking to Glenys from Avon Flow Art. Hi, Glenys.
Hi there.
Hi, thanks for talking to me today.
Hi Emma. Thanks for having me to talk. It's a great opportunity to talk about my work and get some information out there to the people in Stratford. It's really good.
Yeah, because you are an artist.
Yeah. So what I'm doing at the moment mainly is something called fluid art. So some people will know a lot about that and some people won't. But it's basically I'm using two different techniques, two different media. So I'm using acrylic pour for some, and I'm using alcohol inks as well. And they both have their own sort of distinct looks, and I would say the artists that use them probably all explore a lot of different techniques, and quite often you kind of find the ones that you enjoy the most or have most success with. So there might be a lot of artists doing similar work, but as you kind of do it, it kind of develops. So you have your own kind of take on it, I think. And I think that's the same for, I would say, for both of those media, really.
But this isn't how you started your sort of artistic career, is it?
No, so I started off with in textile design. So when I went to university, I studied, it was knit, print and weave, and actually specialised in knitwear. Right. And so when I left uni, I did freelance for about a year or so. Things are very different though. They're trying to sell your work. As a designer, you really should, to really make it, you had to either be based in London or go to London. So instead of sort of, setting up things on the internet and showing that way, you'd be taking a portfolio on the train and going down to London and selling your work, really going down the different design studios. So I sold quite a lot to at the time, sort of the companies that actually made the yarn. So they would then sell the pattern with the yarn, or they would put the pattern in the magazines to sell magazines, and also, sort of craft fairs and things like that. So I did that for about a year or so. But then realised I needed more money to pay my rent and my flats. I started looking for something else as well. And so eventually I went into teaching art and design. So I started off teaching young people in what was called then youth training scheme. So very much like sort of apprenticeships of today, but I was teaching young people with learning difficulties to start with, and then I went into teaching FE colleges, and I taught all levels really, right from level 1 right up to HNC, HND, and that was teaching textile design at the higher levels, and teaching across a range of sort of art design at the low levels. So I would still teach textiles, but would also teach some drawing, do some business studies, etc. So it's a really interesting job. I really loved it. I worked in Coventry for the bulk of that, and then I did some teaching in Kidderminster. But again, I think as your career progresses, you look at different opportunities, and then I went to work for EdExcel, it was called then, so an awarding organisation. I was with them for 7 years, and then I've worked for the Department for Education for training providers, and I came back to the awarding organisation again, but all that time being in education, but kind of veering away from the art and design, really. And missed it, because I think once I left the teaching of art and design, I had less opportunity to actually do my own art and design as well. So it's only sort of the last sort of couple of years, I would say, I've sort of got back into it and started doing it in a big way again.
So has the pandemic helped you with getting more time to do your artwork?
Certainly has, yeah, because with my sort of day job, if you like, I'm usually travelling up and down the country, so from sort of Northampton up to West Yorkshire, a lot of overnight stays, a lot of travelling, so it has given me that time. And let's face it, we've not had a lot to do in the evening, have we? It's either been, you could go for a walk, you can sit with the TV, you can read a book, or you can do whatever is your hobby.
Yeah.
So, you know, and my hobby being the art and creating jewellery, it's become more than a hobby, really. It's probably more of an obsession than a hobby. Yes, I started doing it again, sort of really in the evenings, and it was my daughter who said to me, really encouraged me and said, "Yeah, Mum, I think you ought to, start selling some of this stuff." So, so I did start first of all just on Etsy, which is, it's really difficult if you haven't ever done, sold on Etsy. I think you kind of think, oh, you put your stuff on there and you sell it, a bit like eBay, put your stuff on there and you just sell it. But there's so much more to it, it's so much more difficult than you think. And so many of the people actually using Etsy now as a selling platform because of, being on furlough, being very redundant because of the pandemic, then, it's absolutely saturated, I think, with people who've started their own small businesses. So that's quite hard. And I've created my own website. Well, yeah, you've got my own website, put contents in there, and I'm selling it on another platform as well. So as well as actually creating the art and creating the jewelry, you have to find that time to all of this, listing your products and all of this sort of selling on social media as well. I mean, Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
A lot of people use TikTok. I've not used that yet, but a lot of people say TikTok's a really good way to sell, but I've not yet ventured there. So, it's been a bit of a learning curve as well. I was using Facebook before, but I didn't use Instagram. I just thought I don't need to use it. But if you are selling now, if you have a small business, then you have to use all of these different, different ways of selling, really. So I've read somewhere that it's something like, I don't know, something like 90% selling and 10% actually creating. So, and I think that's about right, actually. So, yeah.
Well, we're going to have a look at some of your artwork because I just think it's amazing what you create, and it's so.
Okay.
Well, you talk a bit about what you make and how you make it. So there are some pieces that you make that are, I call them floral pieces because they're flowers. But you make them in a specific way, don't you?
Yeah. So the floral pieces are the pieces that I've made using the alcohol ink. So both of the media I'm using, so the alcohol ink and the acrylic pour, I'd say I kind of stumbled across when I was thinking about, want to get back to my artwork. So, I was really trying to look for something where I could just get used to using colour again and using different media again. And I just saw both of these techniques and thought, oh, I really love the way that, you can actually, you're mixing the paints and the inks on the canvas or on the paper, that's which one you're using. So with the alcohol inks, then you're using something called UV paper, and the blending medium is alcohol. So as you're actually putting the inks on the paper and blending with the alcohol, you might use you need something to use like an airbrush. You're actually mixing those colours on the paper rather than sort of mixing them and putting them on the brush and using them. And again, I think you find your own sort of technique of using that. You can Google the techniques and look on YouTube, and you can watch somebody saying, well, this is how you make a flower using alcohol ink, but your flower is probably not going to look anything like the flower on the video, because you find your own way of doing it. So that's one. I do want to say something about the alcohol ink, about this health and safety bit, is you do have to be really, really careful. Make sure you're in a well ventilated room. You have to use one of these. Can I show you this? It's respirator mask. You have to use one of these.
Really?
Okay, really, really important you use it, because what you're using is this. It's a 99.9% alcohol. Okay, so what happens is
Yeah.
when there's also the inks are alcohol based, but also when the inks are drying, you get the fumes of the alcohol coming up as well. So if you're not well protected, those fumes can be really bad for your health. And also recommend that under 18s don't do it. I know I've seen sort of again on the internet of people saying, oh, my daughter, 9-year-old daughter's done this lovely alcoholic ink painting. And yes, they're very talented, it's very beautiful, but they really shouldn't be doing it because, you know, children shouldn't be using that. So that's just like a health and safety thing. So you must make sure that you do that. And to be honest, it's probably one of the reasons why I use other media as well, because I will do kind of a series of the alcohol inks and think, right, okay, I'm going to leave that for a while and use something else, so that I'm not constantly having to, you know, wear this mask and have the windows open. And I think it really is, you know, essential for your health. And so the other technique I use then is the acrylic pour. And again, there's different techniques. So you can use something, one of the techniques that you use is called a Dutch pour. And I think that's probably one of the ones that you see mostly. But this behind me here, this is a Dutch pour. Yeah. And if you go on the internet and look at YouTube, you'll see a lot of artists using a technique where they're using a hairdryer to blow the paint around. Yeah. So you can use that. There's another one called swipe technique. You can do a flip and drag. So there's all sorts of techniques you can use. Yeah. But again, I think you kind of find your own way of doing that. And even with the Dutch pour, some people will use a hairdryer. Some people will use a straw. And I have seen one lady, I think she's based in USA, where she actually just leans over the painting, and she just blows. And I think you must have like really good lungs to do that. She's like leans over like this, and the paint just goes. And her paintings look, you can tell they're quite unique. You can tell that's her style. So there are different ways of doing it and a combination of doing it. And I think also, you know, the other thing you learn is you've got to learn how to mix the colours and you use a pouring medium. So you've got to know the sort of the ratios of everything. And I think when you're starting out, if anybody wants to try acrylic pouring, when you're starting out, you'll probably find that your paintings aren't what you want them to be. The colours can go quite muddy, etc. But soon, after doing it for a while, you'll kind of realise where you need to put the paint on the canvas and how you can get different effects by where you can put the paint on the canvas, and which way you blow it and what you blow it with and everything. So it kind of looks quite easy. Again, you look on YouTube and you think, oh, that looks easy, I'll have a go at that. Yeah. But it takes a while for you to actually sort of grow into your own technique and get some results that you're really happy with yourself. So yeah, I think so. So I wouldn't discourage anybody from doing it, but just kind of stick at it. And if you want to, make sure you've got something that you're really pleased with.
Yeah, I suppose it's a lot of experimentation, isn't it? Especially if it's something new and you're just trying to see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's kind of part of the fun of it as well, that you can experiment and you can get some quite small cheap canvases to experiment with from to start off, and then once you are a bit more confident, then get the larger canvases. But it does take time, and as with all these things, any sort of hobby with art, I think it's not cheap. It doesn't come cheap. So, and you can waste an awful lot of paint in acrylic pours. You can just look at it and think, I don't like that, and you just scrape the whole thing off, and all your paint's gone, and you start again. So, I think you have to be prepared to say, some of them are just going to go to in the scrap bin, and you start again. But it is all part of it. It's all part of the experiment. Yeah.
What do you love about creating your artwork? What makes you want to keep doing it?
All sorts of things. I think mainly for me, it's just a real good sort of distraction. It helps me switch off from everything else. I think we've all had a horrible time over the last year. Some people more than others. We've all had things that really affected us. But if you've got that one thing that you can just, go away and do whatever it is. And for some people it might be running or dancing or playing music, whatever. Mine's art. I just come up to my studio and get my paints out or my inks or whatever, and I can just be doing that for hours and hours, and it just goes so quickly, and you get covered in paint and it all goes everywhere, but it doesn't matter. And I think that makes really the enjoyment of doing it. But then also, I found that the selling it and getting into all of the things I was talking about earlier, I actually enjoyed that as well. Although it is time consuming, I do enjoy the social media, and I do enjoy sort of watching the putting things onto the platform and watching which of the things are that really popular. Which of my work is going to be most popular to customers. What do they like? So I like all of that. But I suppose the best part for me is actually the creating, and getting that in there and doing it. And I think it's very, very good for mental health. If anybody does kind of think, I really need something just to help me kind of switch off and focus on something else, then art really helps with that, I think, or any kind of making, creating helps with your sort of mental health.
Definitely, I'd agree with that. And after this year, you're right, I think having something to escape the world, almost, isn't it? Having something to totally take your mind off things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you also create jewellery as well, don't you?
Yes, so that kind of became a bit of a spin-off, really, because I have lots of paint that I've mixed up. I've got colours left, so I think, right, what can I do with that? And I do that in different ways as well. And we did start sort of by looking at just what colours I got, what can I put together. I kind of hand paint, also kind of collage colours together as well, to use within the jewellery. So it's mainly pendants, bracelets, some earrings. So and the jewellery seems to be quite popular, actually. Quite a lot of sales. Around Christmas time, I was part of the Stratford virtual market, and I sold a lot of jewellery through that. That was a really good way to get it out there, so that was good. So I'd say it's kind of a sideline. I do enjoy it, but I will do it kind of in between the paintings, because it doesn't take quite as long as a painting. And so while the paintings are drying, or in between coats of varnish, you can be doing bits of jewellery as well. So
and actually the pieces, the paintings that you make, you put onto other items as well, don't you? Like mugs and
so I've just started that. So I've just kind of gone into the alcohol ink series that I did, so the florals, the abstract florals. I've just started producing them as prints as well, so wall prints, mugs, cushions. I've got some tote bags as well that I haven't yet put onto my sites, but I think really for a few reasons. The wall prints I've done because the actual originals are A4 size, and it's really, really lovely to have an original painting, but some people will look at it and think, well, actually, I'd like it, but I'd like it larger. So by producing them as prints as well, it means somebody, with perhaps a different budget can get the A4 size. But actually, if you want something bigger, then they're right up to A1. So, you're going to have a larger version of that art piece. So that kind of, opens it up really to to a broader market. And then with the homeware, I thought, well, I'll just give it a try and see what it looks like. And the cushions and the mugs seem quite popular as well. So so I've just started that. Might expand with some other things. I think what I probably will do next is another series with alcohol inks, but be different to the florals. So there'll be like a sort of second series, and then might put those onto the homeware as well. I have just looked at putting something from my other paintings onto a cushion. So I'm going to see, I think it's okay, but I'll kind of test it out and see how it goes. I might do a few of those as well. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So where can people find all your artwork and all your products?
So I've got my own website now. So that's just www.avonflowart.co.uk. In fact, if you Google Avon Flow Art, it will come up straight away. So so there'll be the website. I also have a Facebook page on it. I'm on Etsy, and also on another platform which is quite new this year called Beautifully Handmade. So I'm just trying different platforms to kind of see, you know what generates the most sales really. Etsy is obviously very well known, and it should be generating a different market to the customers that I can drive to my own website. So I'm hoping it will work in that way. So yeah, and Instagram, but like I say, if you just Google Avon Flow Art, then all of those will come up, and you'll be able to just click on and have a look at my work. Brilliant.
And have you got any plans coming up? You mentioned something to me about was it a fair or fun day? That's the one.
Yeah. We've got a fun day coming up. It's July the 3rd, and it's at the Cottage of Content in Barton, which is quite near to Bidford on Avon. So it's to raise money for cancer, and it's in memory of a little girl called Lily, who sadly died of leukemia about a year ago. And it'll be actually to in memory of her what would have been her fourth birthday. So we're hoping that people will come along, and after people not being able to get together for so long, it'd be nice to be able to just meet people as well. And for me to meet people as well, because I moved into Bidford at the end of the last lockdown, and it's hard enough meeting people when you move somewhere new anyway, but during a lockdown it has been quite difficult. But I have met quite a few people considering, but it'll be a good way to meet more people, and I'm sure a lot of the community will be there, so it should be a good day. So come along. So 4th of July, Cottage of Content Barton, I think it's 1 till 4, something like that. But if you look on the Bidford Forum on Facebook, you will be able to find out on there as well.
Great. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much again for talking to me today. It's been a pleasure and really lovely to see your artwork. I think it's amazing and just so colourful and mesmerising. I can't stop looking at them. They're really great. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.